Have you ever stopped to think about all the data breaches that are happening right now? Like how they could be ticking time bombs?
Yeah,
It's a concept called harvest now, decrypt later. And with the power of quantum computers on the horizon,
right.
it could mean trouble down the line.
Yeah, that's exactly the threat landscape we're looking at right now. What keeps a lot of cybersecurity people up at night is that the encryption that we rely on for everything these days, banking, emails,
Oh, yeah.
even top secret government communications, it could all be rendered completely obsolete just because of how powerful quantum computers are.
That's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
It
We're
is.
talking about cracking the core encryption methods that we use, like RSA and AES. That's the foundation of our digital world.
That's right.
So how do we prepare for this quantum leap in decryption?
Well, the answer is something called post-quantum cryptography.
Okay.
And to understand how that works, it helps to remember that there are two main types of encryption, symmetric and asymmetric. So imagine symmetric encryption like a safe where everyone has the same key.
Okay.
Great for speed and efficiency, but if that one key gets compromised, everyone's data is at risk.
So it's like having one master key for every single door in a building.
Exactly. Now, asymmetric encryption is more like sending a registered letter. Only the person with the unique private key can open it, even though anyone can send a letter.
Right.
So think of your email encryption or how digital signatures work. That's asymmetric.
Okay, I see. So both types of encryption are vulnerable to quantum computers,
Yes,
which are able to perform these calculations at speeds that we can barely even fathom.
that's right.
We're essentially using like dollar store padlocks on our digital front doors.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. A problem that would take a classical computer millions of years to solve, a quantum computer could potentially crack in minutes.
Wow.
And that brings us back to harvest now, decrypt later.
Right.
Adversaries are likely stockpiling encrypted data as we speak, just waiting for the day that they can unlock all the secrets.
Okay, so the threat is real, and we need to find solutions like post-quantum cryptography.
Mm.
But how can we be sure that these new methods will stand up to quantum computers when they're not even fully developed yet?
Right.
I mean, some critics say that it's like designing a shield against a weapon that we haven't even seen in action.
Yeah.
How would you address that concern?
That's a valid point. It really highlights the challenges in this field. But the good news is that cryptographers and mathematicians are working tirelessly to test and refine these algorithms.
Oh, okay.
They're using complex mathematical models and simulations to try and analyze the potential vulnerabilities of these algorithms to future quantum attacks.
Okay.
And organizations like NIST, which plays a vital role in setting encryption standards for everything from online banking to healthcare data, are deeply involved in this process.
So NIST is trying to stay ahead of the curve, just like they did with the standards for encryption that we use today.
Exactly. It's a constant race against time. And history shows us that even the brightest minds can create encryption algorithms that later turn out to have weaknesses.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember that fascinating story in Bruce Schneier's book about the early encryption methods and how even seemingly robust systems can have unforeseen vulnerabilities?
Yeah, that's what makes this whole field so intriguing. It's like a constant back and forth
Yeah.
between the code makers and the code breakers. And the stakes are getting higher all the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of potential solutions, there's this company called Quantum Night that claims to be developing a software-based crypto system that goes beyond simply creating new algorithms.
Yeah, Quantum Night is definitely one of the players in this space, and they're taking an interesting approach. They're aiming to not only encrypt data, but also embed access controls directly into the encryption key itself. It's like having a safe with multiple locks, and each lock requires a different key to open.
That's a pretty powerful concept.
Yeah,
So rather than just focusing on the strength of the encryption, they're creating multiple layers of security by controlling who has access to the keys in the first place.
that's right.
So their approach definitely sounds interesting. But how does their system actually work in practice?
Well, their system utilizes what they call ice cube technology.
Ice cube.
Yeah, it's kind of a metaphor they use to
Right.
describe the process of encapsulating data
Okay.
in a way that makes it impenetrable, even to quantum computers.
So their freezing data metaphor sounds appealing.
Right.
But how does this translate into like practical security measures?
Right.
What makes their approach different from traditional encryption methods?
Well, one of the key differentiators is their focus on performance.
Okay.
You see, traditional encryption can be quite resource intensive,
Yeah.
especially for large data sets or high volume transactions.
Right.
Quantum Night has designed its system to be Ultra performant.
Ultra.
Yeah, meaning it can handle massive amounts of data without sacrificing speed or efficiency.
So it's like they've found a way to create these super secure ice cubes.
Yeah.
But they're also incredibly lightweight and easy to move around.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're tackling the performance issues. Does that mean their solution could be used on everything?
Uh-huh.
From powerful servers to those tiny internet-connected devices.
Yeah.
You know, the ones we keep hearing about in the whole Internet of Things craze.
Absolutely. That's one of the goals of Quantum Night.
Okay.
To create a solution that is scalable and adaptable enough to be used across a wide range of applications and devices.
Right.
They want to provide robust security without compromising the functionality or performance of these systems.
And they've also said that their solution is affordable, even comparing the cost to something like antivirus software.
That's right.
If that's true, that would remove a significant barrier for individuals and smaller organizations that might not have the resources for those big, expensive security systems.
You're right. Affordability is a major consideration.
Yeah.
It's one thing to develop cutting-edge technology, but it's another to make it accessible to those who need it most.
Right.
Quantum Night's commitment to making its solution widely available is certainly noteworthy.
Yeah.
They seem to understand that true cybersecurity requires a collective effort,
Uh-huh.
not just solutions for those with the deepest pockets.
And they're not waiting around for quantum computers to become readily available before releasing their product, are they?
No, they're taking a proactive approach, offering their software now to help individuals and organizations prepare for the quantum threat today.
Right.
They argue that the time to act is now, not when it's already too late.
I remember when the Y2K bug was all over the news.
Mm-hmm.
People were worried that computer systems would crash when the year 2000 hit.
Yeah.
And some even stockpiled supplies.
Wow.
Luckily, the impact wasn't as severe as predicted.
Right.
But it does highlight the importance of addressing potential technological disruptions before they become full-blown crises.
Exactly. It's a bit like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
We can learn from past experiences and take steps now to mitigate the potential risks posed by quantum computers.
Okay, so we've talked about the threats, the potential solutions, and the importance of being proactive.
Right.
But let's zoom out a bit and consider the wider societal implications of post-quantum cryptography.
Okay.
You mentioned privacy and freedom of speech earlier. How could those be impacted?
Well, imagine a world where governments or corporations could access any and all encrypted data at will.
Okay.
Think of the potential for surveillance, censorship, and control.
That's a pretty sobering thought.
Yeah.
We often take our digital privacy for granted,
Right.
but the reality is that encryption is what allows us to communicate freely and securely online.
Precisely. Post-quantum cryptography is about more than just protecting data. It's about protecting the fundamental principles that underpin a free and open society.
What?
It's about ensuring that individuals can express themselves without fear of reprisal, and that we can hold those in power accountable.
It's also about things like ensuring fair and secure elections,
Yes.
maintaining the integrity of financial markets, and protecting sensitive information in healthcare and other critical industries.
That's right.
The stakes are incredibly high.
You're absolutely right. We need to be having these conversations now,
Yeah.
engaging policymakers, industry leaders, and the public at large to raise awareness about the importance of post-quantum cryptography and its potential impact on our lives.
So, given the scale and complexity of the quantum threat, what can individuals and organizations do to prepare themselves?
Right.
It can feel a bit overwhelming when you start thinking about the potential for widespread disruption.
The first step is education.
Okay.
The more people understand the threat and the potential solutions, the better equipped we'll be as a society to address it.
So we need to move beyond the fear-mongering headlines and get into the nitty-gritty of how this technology works and what we can do to protect ourselves.
Exactly. There are already resources available, from articles and podcasts to webinars and online courses that can help people learn more about post-quantum cryptography.
Oh, wow.
Quantum Night, for example, has a great section on its website dedicated to explaining these concepts in a clear and concise way.
Right. And they offer that free trial so people can experience firsthand how their software works and how easy it is to use.
Beyond education, Individuals and organizations should take a proactive approach to their own cybersecurity practices.
Okay.
That means using strong passwords,
Right.
enabling multi-factor authentication wherever possible, and keeping software up to date.
It's like having a solid foundation for your digital house before you start worrying about the potential for quantum tornadoes.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're doing the basics right before you move on to more advanced security measures.
So beyond individual actions, what can be done on a broader scale to address the quantum threat?
Well, governments and industry leaders need to prioritize investment in post-quantum cryptography research and development.
Okay.
We need to ensure that we have the resources and expertise to stay ahead of the curve and develop robust solutions that can withstand future quantum attacks.
And we need to make sure those solutions are accessible and affordable for everyone, not just a select few.
That's right.
It's a global challenge that requires a global response.
Absolutely. We need to foster collaboration and information sharing between researchers, policymakers, and industry leaders to develop a coordinated and comprehensive strategy.
It's a bit like the early days of the internet,
Yeah.
when few people understood its potential impact.
Right.
Now we're at a similar crossroads with quantum technology.
Uh-huh.
It has the power to revolutionize our world, but it also poses significant threats if we don't prepare adequately.
That's a great analogy. The internet has brought incredible benefits, but it's also created new vulnerabilities. We need to approach quantum technology with the same level of foresight and caution to ensure that we harness its potential while mitigating its risks.
And that brings us back to the critical role of education.
Absolutely.
We need to equip future generations with the knowledge and skills to navigate this complex technological landscape.
Yeah.
We need to inspire them to become the next generation of cryptographers, mathematicians, and cybersecurity experts.
Absolutely. We need to cultivate a culture of cybersecurity awareness where individuals and organizations alike understand the importance of protecting data and take proactive steps to do so.
Well said. I think that's a great segue into our final thoughts on this fascinating topic. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this deep dive into post-quantum cryptography has been incredibly eye-opening.
It's definitely a complex and rapidly evolving field.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway is that this isn't just some abstract futuristic problem.
Right.
The quantum threat is real, and the time to start preparing is now.
What I found particularly interesting was our discussion about the societal implications
Right.
of post-quantum cryptography.
Yeah,
It's easy to get caught up in all the technical details.
for sure.
But ultimately, this is about protecting the very fabric of our digital society.
Mm-hmm.
Our privacy, our freedom of expression, our ability to trust and transact securely.
Absolutely. It's about safeguarding the core principles that underpin a democratic and open society.
Right.
We need to ensure that the incredible power of quantum computing is used for good, not for ill.
And I think Quantum Night's approach to this problem is quite refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by their focus on user experience and their commitment to making post-quantum cryptography accessible to everyone, not just the tech elite.
Their ice cube analogy, while perhaps a bit oversimplified, is surprisingly effective in conveying the concept of secure data encapsulation.
Yeah.
And their focus on performance is crucial.
Right.
Because if these solutions are going to be widely adopted,
Yeah.
they need to be seamlessly integrated into our existing systems and workflows.
It's like they're saying, hey, we get it. Security is important, but it shouldn't slow you down or get in the way of doing what you need to do.
Exactly. And their decision to make their solution available now, rather than waiting for the quantum threat to fully materialize, is commendable.
Right.
They're empowering individuals and organizations to take control of their security today.
Speaking of empowerment,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what would you say to someone who's listening to this and feeling a bit overwhelmed,
Right.
maybe even a little bit helpless in the face of this quantum threat?
Yeah.
What's the first step they should take?
I would say don't panic.
Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Right.
The first step is to educate yourself about the threat,
Okay.
the potential solutions, and the steps you can take to protect yourself. There are tons of resources available online, including Quantum Night's website, which has a wealth of information presented in an easy-to-understand way.
And don't underestimate the power of simple security measures. Using strong passwords, enabling multi-factor authentication, and being cautious about the links you click and the attachments you open can go a long way in mitigating your risk.
Exactly. It's about building good digital hygiene habits, just like we practice good hygiene in our physical lives to prevent illness
It's also about demanding better security from the companies and organizations we interact with online.
Yeah.
We need to push for stronger encryption standards and hold those who hold our data accountable for protecting it.
Well said. It's a collective responsibility.
Yeah.
We need to work together as individuals, as organizations, and as a society to ensure that the quantum future is a secure and prosperous one.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
A huge thank you to you for joining us today and sharing your expertise on this critical topic.
It's been a pleasure.
For our listeners who want to learn more, be sure to check out Quantum Night's website at quantumnight.io.
Right.
They offer a free trial of their software so you can experience their innovative approach to post-quantum cryptography firsthand. And before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
If you were in charge of securing a critical system, or even just your own personal data, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now about the quantum threat?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah.
It really highlights the importance of personal responsibility in this new era of quantum computing.
Right.
The choices we make today will have far-reaching consequences, so let's choose wisely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.